We're good.
It's working.
Welcome everyone online. All right, so who here has been to the Tarrant County Commissioner's Court at least once?
Oh, that's good.
All right.
Watched.
Who enjoys going to Tarrant County Commissioner's Court? Oh, we got one person.
I only like it in support of, but other than that, I don't. Yeah. That's why you raise yours. Right?
You like it with qualifications. It's understandable.
My hand's not ready.
So the headline for this event was gerrymandering in Tarrant County and what is at risk with that happening. But we're going to start off with the first question, Commissioner, to tell us about, we heard words like redistricting and gerrymandering. Can you talk us through what is this redistricting process that's being introduced and why are people concerned about gerrymandering?
Yes, I will try to explain it. That's a charge I have given my staff. We've got to make it plain because we are so accustomed, those of us who operate in this space and are very active in the community. We just throw words out like, oh, they're gerrymandering in my district, they are redistricting. And I saw a Facebook post, I forgot whose page it was on, and somebody said, can somebody explain this to me? I have no idea what this means. And somebody jumped on, explained it, and they went, oh, that's terrible. So redistricting is where the
Oh yeah, they're right here.
okay is where the lines of the county, in this instance, you will see that there are several. The county is made up of 4 districts. In Tarrant County, we call them precincts. In Dallas County, they call them districts. So you might hear, us use precincts or districts interchangeably. But there are sections of town, of the county, that your elected officials represent. And so I am the Tarrant County Commissioner for Precinct 2 or District 2.
What color?
I am
Blue on that map.
blue. And so the Commissioner's Courts in Texas, there are 254 counties. Each county has Commissioner's Court. They're made up of 5 people. You elect people to serve you on the Commissioner's Court. So depending on where you live, you vote for the candidates in Precinct 2. There might be 2 of us, a Republican and a Democrat. You vote for which one you want to serve you on the Commissioner's Court. But there's a 5th position. It's called a county judge. It's not a judicial judge. It's not a judge that decides court cases. That's just a ceremonial title. And so that's why you see 4 precincts and then 1 county judge. And so you vote for who you want to serve as the county judge.
Okay.
He represents the whole county. Okay, so each Commissioner's Court in each county in Texas has a 5-member Commissioner's Court. And so you see how the lines are drawn. We each have a population, the same, relatively close, same population of what, 550,000 constituents. You guys are the constituents. So they're pretty equally divided.
And it's important to know when they do the drawing of the lines, that's based on residents. So 0 to 100 and above, citizens, non-citizens, residents, not just voters.
Okay.
Now, who draws these lines? You might ask. Who came up with these districts?
Yeah, that is a question.
That's a question.
Yes.
The Commissioner's Court. and the law firms or the legal teams that they bring in to help them draw the lines, to put 550,000 people here, 550 people here, 500 people residents, 550 residents, okay? And so, they should be equally drawn, by population, politically, maybe. And so sometimes they're not, sometimes they are. So in Tarrant County, the makeup of the Commissioners Court, the political makeup of the Commissioners Court, you've got 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats. So in a very politically charged environment that we live in now,
Can you see?
the political parties don't work so well together. And so the Republicans here in Tarrant County have the balance of power on the
That's good.
court. So they can vote for
Can you hear it?
anything they want or against anything I want for my constituents or what you want. So what's happening now is I realize, and Commissioner Miles, we realize we don't have the balance of power. So when we want things for our communities, or you tell us you want things and we put it on the agenda, those things are voted down by the other 3. And so all we've got are our voices, right? Because you're looking at Congress and you're like, yelling at your congressman, and what can they do? They don't have the votes. And that's how Commissioners Court is. What can we do? We don't have the votes. And so we can use our voices. I use my voice a lot. And so I think, I'm pretty certain they would like to see me gone.
Oh, yeah. You know they would.
And and so they are going to redistrict or redraw the lines of this county. And so in precinct 2, it's 52% Democrat voters. It's tough for me to get elected. Precinct 2 has been a Republican precinct or district since the beginning of this county. It was just until 2019 that a Democrat got elected in precinct 2. Precinct 2 is southeast Tarrant County. It's Arlington, Mansfield, Kennedale, Pantego, Dalworthington Gardens, and the Tarrant County portion of Grand Prairie. Okay, so that demographic is changing. There are more communities or people of color that look like this audience moving into southeast Tarrant County, precinct 2. Precinct 1 is what percent?
About, I think it's more like 60-40 as far as minority and Democrat to Republican population.
Yeah, so we're sitting in precinct 1,
Which is tan on that map,
which is,
or yellow.
yeah. And so that was always Commissioner Roy Brooks for 20 years, and before him, Commissioner Dion Baxby, and now it's Commissioner Roger Miles. So precinct 1 is pretty safely communities of color, not necessarily, but it's more safe than 2. It's 60-40.
As it's currently drawn,
As
yeah.
it's currently drawn. So as those lines are currently drawn, it's 60-40. But that is about to change when this Commissioner's Court decides to redraw the county boundaries. Okay? And so what they're gonna do in short is in precinct 2, draw out Democratic households and draw in more Republican households, which will make it extremely difficult for me to win. I won by 40,000 votes. That's not a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I don't know if we want to go over so far. I was just going to say a little bit about how this process usually looks. So redistricting, as Commissioner said, is a normal thing Commissioners Court regularly does, but they regularly do it every 10 years after a national census. So U.S. Census Bureau does one every 10 years, 2000 census, 2010, 2020. And so, of course, our most recent census is the 2020 census. And so Commissioners Court takes a look at the census data in the year after that. So in 2021, they took a look at the data, used a law firm. It was a different law firm than they're currently going with, Bickerstaff. And so the Commissioners Court draws lines for commissioner seats as well as JP Constable's districts. And the staff, the law firm they contracted with came back and looked, these districts that have been that way since 2010, they said they're evenly balanced. There's a guideline to go by with a 10% variant from the most populous district to the most least populous district, and if it's within that, they're fine. Well, the variance was 1.8, and so they were very, very close in population to each other. So usually we would say, okay, that's what they did. That's fine. We're not going to redistrict. They actually took a vote. The Commissioner Court voted to keep the lines the same.
That was in 2021.
So 4 years ago.
So they went through a redistricting process.
Decided not to do it.
It, engaged a law firm, did the whole thing, and decided this map looks fine.
Okay.
And not to redistrict, not to redraw the lines.
So when the Commissioner Court makes that kind of vote after the census, the expectation that they have and that the community has that we will wait to see when the next census happens in 2030
Right.
to evaluate redistricting at that point.
Because right now they'll look at some census estimates. We can tell right now how large the population of Tarrant County is based on census does estimates and little census districts where they can take that and extrapolate across the county. But the most accurate numbers we have is the 2020 census. We don't have accurate 2024 numbers. There wasn't a 2024 census. So we only have a census estimate that's not going to give us a clear picture, and we won't have another one until the 2030.
And there has been 2 elections since,
And nobody changed
Using
it.
these maps.
everything has gone fine. Everybody's happy with who they elected. There's been no issues, no problems, and this is the representation that you have. And just to add, everybody waits on the census to do redistricting. That's the state, that's the feds, that's the cities, everybody waits on the census. Yes, sir.
So are they gonna use the same census numbers that were in the previous estimate to do this next estimate, or are they gonna do some type of bootleg?
The last was not an estimate. That was, the census had happened.
Yeah.
And they had actual numbers.
They drew the lines.
So now they're going to use an estimate of what they guess.
And where are they gonna get this estimate from?
Oh, good question.
Let me look in her first.
That's
That's a good
It's a
question.
yes.
And that's
Good
the
question,
question we have.
Yeah.
Where are you getting these numbers? I mean, we can sit in here as a group and go, well, I mean,
We know where the
there's
growth
been
is in the
some-
county.
There's been some
Yeah.
growth over in precinct 2, but do I know? And does it meet the statute? Does it meet the requirement? And the percentage is 10% again?
Within 10%.
Within 10%. So does it meet 10%?
There you go.
So
the
it
most,
should be
most
five.
accurate numbers we
It could
have
be 3.
from 2020 gave us the
Yeah.
most least variance in the population. They're within 1.8% of each other. It's a pretty close drawing of the lines, and they're probably going to use the closest numbers they have are still the 2020 numbers, and they're going to try and draw it some different ways.
So that question really is a good springboard into this next question, which is, where are they gonna get these estimates? It really comes down to who did they hire to help them evaluate data and numbers. So first, if y'all can speak to a little bit of who they hired in the last Commissioner's Court, so that the community is aware of that, and why, based on who they hired, there's a real concern, and not only who they hired, but the motives of wanting to redistrict. Why are there concerns of gerrymandering and what gerrymandering ends up doing to representation within the county?
That's right.
So
Jeez.
if y'all don't mind touching on those 2 things.
I'm gonna
Did we
preface this is
look-
where it gets good, okay? It's gonna get down.
Did we looked, how much has the county grown
between 2021 or 2020.
Well, the estimate's about 100. Was it 120,000?
Yeah, 120,000. So that's what our, we went to uscensus.com
And that's a July of 2024 estimate is that the growth was 124,000 more people in a population of 2.1 million.
yes, this county is 2.2 million. So it's only,
And that
according
many
to
people
the census, if you just go Google, you'll see that Tarrant County, they're saying, up through July, that this county has grown by 120 some odd thousand people. So that's not a huge increase, not enough to undertake an entire redrawing of the boundaries. We call them the maps, the boundaries, the lines. So if we say all that, it's the same thing. The firm that the Commissioners Court decided to hire last Tuesday.
Based on a 3-2 vote.
Republican.
Okay.
Yeah.
We know that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the disheartening part.
Yeah.
I'll chime in.
The firm is, has a history, this firm is am I trying to?
It's a discriminatory firm.
Yes.
The firm has a history of drawing
Drawing
lines.
discriminatory.
Drawing
It's
discriminatory
a
lines.
non-profit legal firm, which means it has an agenda for sure. It's called, the acronym is PILF, so Pilfer and Vote, is the Public Interest Legal Foundation. And they have a history of going in, redrawing lines for counties, cutting out minority communities, splitting them apart from each other. If you can go to the website, Public Interest Legal Foundation, they have a thing called Save Election Day, which means getting rid of early voting entirely.
Wow.
And so they file lawsuits on a very MAGA right-wing basis to restrict people's access to their vote.
They're a MAGA firm, and they are proud of their work
Oh, yeah.
in getting rid of minority districts and precincts. They are proud of that work. And they have done so in Galveston County. So Galveston County, their court was 4-1, conservative Democrat, and they have drawn out the one.
Wow.
And it went to appeals. He won on appeals, then it was thrown out, and that case is still going. And I would not be surprised if it made it up to the Supreme Court.
So
Wow.
the county is still spending money, and that happened in 22, 21? That was 21. So the county is still fighting a lawsuit. Galveston County is still fighting a lawsuit.
So somebody that's the way they draw the line. Don't worry about it.
And so when you undertake something like this, we have to pay
Yeah.
this outfit. And so what was presented at Commissioners Court was, and you'll see it, I brought the contract for you. This is the initial phase of redistricting, and the county judge brought this to us to approve the initial phase at $30,000. And so I asked, talk to us about the next phase and the next step, and he said, I don't answer to you. So,
And then he said, I don't know.
well, first he said, I don't know. And I said, well, wait, it says initial phase, well, I don't answer to you. And so, but he does answer to you. And that's why we had a great crowd that came down Tuesday, and you have to keep coming.
Okay.
They've got to hear from the people. I can talk crap all day long. They don't care. They really don't care about what you have to say. But you've got to say it. We can't go and sit in a closet and not come to Commissioners Court. Or even if you can't come, you can email, you can call, you blow us up with emails. So anyway, your tax dollars will pay for phase 1, stage 2, section 3, I mean, whatever they call it. Because I guarantee you, Commissioner Miles and myself will fight this legally. I don't have a dime to fight this legally. But I'll take campaign funds, I'll take some personal funds, because I'm not gonna sit back and go, you know, just let them do it.
So we've established for everyone here, and give us some confirmation that you guys have been able to kind of follow the flow of this conversation. So we talked about the redistricting process that typically happens after the census. So everyone feels good about understanding that process, right? And drawing the lines for the county commissioner court seats. We've talked about this process of them wanting to redistrict in the middle of the decade and hiring a law firm that is politically motivated to reduce the power and vote of diverse communities, which is the term you'll hear a lot of is called gerrymandering. And what that means is you draw lines in a way that helps you politically versus having, you know, equal representation, fair representation, and things like that.
Thank you.
And so the impact of this gerrymandering attempt through the redistricting process means that everybody in this room and throughout the county who is from a diverse community has a high risk of having less representation.
That's correct.
Aligned with their values.
That's correct.
Yes, 100%. And the gerrymandering, the drawing of lines however they want to, will not make sense. Now, I told you the 6 cities that make up Southeast Tarrant County. We have no idea. They could take precinct 2 and start it in Colleyville
Wow.
and take it all the way to Burleson through a little bit of Arlington and we don't know. The lines will look however they draw them.
If
To
you draw
draw
one line,
out
you gotta change
Democratic
all of them.
households and to draw in Republican residents, voters. So
now-
the lines will be just,
And they'll present the lines,
Yeah.
and then the commissioner's court will vote, and then what happens?
They gonna win.
It's the 3-2, and then you have to sue them to try to get the lines changed.
yes.
And
How is it legal to do that?
Yeah, that's my question. How, there's not any.
Because it just, we've been loosey-goosey for years and it's just kind of been,
Isn't there some legal precedent that says, okay, this is what has been done. This is the precedent. We use the census, and you cannot come in because you want to change it. You cannot come in and just do this on your own because you think some numbers are going to change.
Right.
There should be some legal precedent that can come in there and say, no, you can't do this. Now, they can do it in preparation for it, but they should not be able to do it at this point in time.
okay, so when you say legal precedent, okay, that's in the court.
Historical
That's
precedent.
that's in the court.
Yeah, they're doing
So now you
everyone.
have to sue them and prove that.
So-
That's where there's precedent of this, but the vote has happened.
And that's been raised
So-
before too, is that
Yeah.
these counties operate as almost like sections of the state.
Okay.
So the counties don't really do what the state allows them to do, and that
Right.
we get told that often by the state. You can't do that, it's not one of the things you can do. So one of the things that the counties have is to redistrict every 10 years. It is not clear, there is no legal precedent, there's no statute in state law saying that counties can do mid-decade redistricting.
Right.
And a second precedent in law that we need to consider is the Voting Rights Act. We have 2 precincts here, precinct 1 and precinct 2, that have now, precinct 2, like you said, has only been recently Democrats since 2019. But the last 2 people that have been elected have been African American women.
Right.
They've rejected Republicans and men both a couple times. And precinct 1 has been African American since when did Deion Baggsby come in?
Long time.
Thirty-
Y'all before I got
Yeah.
here.
So,
Jamal,
so
36
splitting
years.
up these 2
Okay.
precincts is splitting up.
That was the first time they ever had yeah.
Mhm.
36
First
years.
woman, first African American ever on court.
Right.
And so splitting up these 2 precincts is splitting up the will of the voter to
That's
pick their candidate of choice. These are highly African American precincts. These two precincts have the most African Americans in the whole county, and they've chosen their candidates. And so it's a possible violation of the Voting Rights Act, which again, the Commissioner's Court doesn't care about it's something that's going to have to be taken to court eventually.
Wow.
And on any, excuse me, on any given Tuesday, commissioners' courts are powerful. I mean, nobody tells us what to do. We are a political subdivision of the state. So on any given Tuesday, we can vote for on anything. And 3-2, it passes. Yes, sir.
So I have a question. Where's the money coming from that they're going to use to pay for defending the multiple lawsuits and things of that nature? Because of the fact that you have federal funds that are being cut, you have a county judge that's supposed to be cut the budget because of the fact that he's cutting spending, but yet it's funny how you spend. I guess how you can spend when you're trying to expand white supremacy, but you can't spend money on anything else. So
Give us your
help that math work for me.
The money comes from taxpayers. The county budget is, the tax dollars you pay on your property taxes, it comes to us. That's how the county is funded.
So something's gonna have to be cut in order to pay.
It comes out of our general fund. And you talk about cuts, we just cut, federal mandate to cut public health. So we lost 62 positions, we've lost immunization clinics and mobile units. But we got money. We got money for the lawsuit, law firm, this process and the lawsuit that we're gonna file, and the county has to pay. Y'all could have paid to keep those immunization clinics and the staff that we need. So it's coming, the money's coming from you. I'm the most fiscally conservative member of this commission board. The judge talks about he talks about it and people believe it, just because he says it. But that is absolutely not true. We give the sheriff's department every penny they want, and they continue to kill, or people continue to die in that jail, and some die by lethal force. We give the district attorney's office whatever it wants, the county clerk's office, whatever it wants, they bring it to us, and it's approved most times 3-2, but it's approved with very little scrutiny. Except for the scrutiny from moi, because this place is a joke, I'm telling you.
We got time
If
for
I could add
we
one.
got time for maybe a couple more
And don't-
questions.
And don't misunderstand, in 2031, you're gonna have to do redistricting again, because that is statute. So you'll have to pay for the process to happen again in 2031.
Be very clear, redistricting, they explain the redrawing, the new boundaries, new lines after every census. Census is every 10 years, the next year you redistrict. Or you look at the district, you go through the process. So we're talking about, we just did it in 2021. Now what is this, 2025, not
Yes.
even 5 years
Right.
later.
That's an illegal redistricting.
And then we're gonna do it again in 2031.
Right.
We're gonna bring in a firm and go through that whole process again. And because we can do it, we're a county commissioner's court,
And we know that the city is growing, we know that the county is growing, but it's not growing like that,
Right.
right? So we're not saying it is not, we do need the census, it is, but let's go with what we have now. The numbers don't lie,
Yeah.
but the lies tell, figures don't lie, but liars tell figures. We can see that. I just think that if we don't speak up and come as a group, it will
Yeah.
continue to happen. One of the things I've seen is that when we go there, and I was just speaking about that, we go in there at one organization. We need to go in there, not representatives of organizations, but the organizations. Have the organizations come to support it, as opposed to individuals. I represent Alpha, I represent Q, no, bring all of them. Bring all of them. When they see numbers, it's different. And what I've seen since I've been here is very rarely do we have 50 or more. 50 people at one time in anything in here, they will listen. I ain't seen the 50. But if we would come together as organizations, we can really
All
benefit.
come together as a law-abiding citizen that
See,
pays taxes.
Say that, yeah.
If I could add.
That would be the way,
That's
yeah.
the
If
reality.
y'all could wear the same t-shirts and everything, that looks good, that looks good too. If y'all could wear the same colors, t-shirts, something like that, that stands out.
Yeah, everybody.
And I don't care, I just wanted to come. And last Commissioner's Court, we did have 77 people sign up to speak to redistricting. And so I was very proud of that. And there cannot be a lull. So next Tuesday, we have 0.
Right.
You know, they've got to continue to feel the pressure. And it can be email, like I said, it can be phone calls. You tell them, I'm coming to your office and you're gonna meet with me and tell me why you're doing this. Y'all elected us to be here. And just because we have the position and the title, don't let that fool you. We're just regular, we're servants, we're supposed to be. These folks want, these people want complete, dominion. And you could, if you have time to talk about, they're probably gonna pack.
Well, yeah, there's two movidas, or methods that they use to redistrict, or gerrymander really. One is called cracking, one's called packing. So one thing they could do is, well, I'm gonna go over the map. There's two kind of areas where most of the Democratic minority population is in the county. So precinct 1, it's in East Fort Worth, going out of downtown. And in precinct 2, it's East Arlington, Grand Prairie, basically down Cooper Street. You can draw a line, and that's, if you see the maps on election day, this side's red, this side's blue. And so one way they could do it is take all the blue here and then draw it over here, all the blue here, and make just one Democratic district and draw out Commissioner Simmons and Commissioner Miles from their districts. So that's one way they could do that, by packing all the Democrats into one area. Another way is the cracking, which they could come in and take precinct 4, come down into this one and take some of the blue into precinct 4, because a little bit more blue precincts isn't gonna get Commissioner Ramirez elected out. And then come down here, precinct 3, take out a little bit of blue over here, because it's not gonna change the vote over there, and then divide up that blue area into 4 different districts, so that the minority population will have no say in electing anybody.
So there's,
in-
I want us to kind of
Let me
shift to
just,
action.
let me add on to what Gabe said. So in addition to that is when they draw those lines, they will draw out the business enterprise in that space.
Yeah.
So for
Explain that.
Commissioner Miles, there, he has TCU, he has downtown, and whatever area that is a, business enterprise that has a multicultural
Right.
interaction.
He's got
They will-
Dickies.
Yeah,
Right.
they will draw that out.
Wow.
I've
And
got
leave
AT&T
you with
Stadium,
Oh, that's
I've
nice.
got Globe Life, I've got,
Right. And in Mansfield, there's tons of new development that's
I
coming
know
up.
that.
they don't want us to have that.
No,
Oh, yeah.
they'll draw
That's a
that
good
out
part.
and leave you with solid rooftops, which leaves you with not an attraction for incoming business, for anything that happens in the city that is, what the Convention and Visitors Bureau is gonna market. You won't have a piece of that at all.
Wow.
No. And if you let them do this, when they do this, imagine having a 4-1 vote. Because out of Commissioner Miles and Commissioner Simmons, maybe one of them survives.
Right.
But no matter where the judge goes, if you change the judge out, listen to me, you end up with 3 Republican districts, and then you have the judge. So now you've got a 4-1 vote.
That's right.
Let's say you turn the judge out and you get a Democrat in,
You still here.
you got a 3-2.
Right.
So you lose either way.
Yeah.
And once these lines, if these lines are redrawn, it will be decades.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you don't, like she just counted, 1, 2, 3, you won't have the votes to redraw again and
And you won't have the growth.
Right.
Yeah, you won't have the
'Cause
growth
it's
to
already
redraw
wrong.
again.
So I do want to offer a little bit of perspective on that, since we're talking about like impacts of votes and things like that. But I do want to tie it to actions
Okay.
For the community. So I think we've all heard one action very clearly, that every commissioner's court on Tuesday needs to have max attendance. And if anyone in this room or online cannot attend, you still have the option to submit your voice via email or phone call, and making sure that you are part of the conversation. So I think that's one action we want to try to get everyone on board, is that in this room, can we start with a commitment that our voice will be present every commissioner's court, either in person, phone, or email. How does everyone feel about that?
I can help with the court after school.
No, then that means phone or email. You're gonna submit a comment, phone or email, right? Okay? It is vital that we understand the importance of that action. Every commissioner's court, which is every 2 weeks on the calendar, or the first and third.
First and third
Tuesdays.
Tuesdays of the month. If there's a Monday holiday, sometimes it's bumped to a Wednesday.
Okay?
And if there's a fifth Tuesday, we don't meet, we just meet the first and third Tuesday.
So however you found out about this meeting today, stay plugged into those channels, because those channels will continue to share information about commissioners' court meetings. And so your voice is vital in that part. Okay? Before we get to the voting action, is there another action as this process is happening that community can take besides showing up and having their voice present for commissioners' court? What is something we want to encourage community to do during this process right now that we are in right now?
Contribute to a legal fund,
Okay.
because it's going to take money for us
You gonna mention it on the
Has
news?
that been posted anywhere?
Not
On-
yet.
Yeah,
We're getting everything together so it's
Okay,
not
I got
willy-nilly. And then we're talking about doing, I'm considering whether or not monthly updates like this
Yes.
is too much. Quarterly, monthly, I haven't decided, y'all tell me. Community updates, so people are kept up to date about what's happening. You gotta attend those and,
What
watch
kind of
them.
timeline are you talking about though? Like, how far out are we thinking, okay, we're talking about this today and they may get to the end game in 6 months or?
Mindy, I think they are going to bum rush this so fast. And we were up on the day is Tuesday last week. And you know, people were talking and the judge said, well, we'll have maps here for everybody to look at and yeah, I think we have
Probably
some.
already done.
The maps are done. I'm with
The
you.
meeting,
Maps are
before
done.
the meeting.
Because he
That's
said,
reality.
and I heard him say, oh, probably have some maps here by May. May, that's
Probably.
3 weeks.
yeah.
Because they need to have the maps in place. Commissioner Simmons is going to be on the ballot in 26. So is the judge. So is Manny Ramirez. That means they all have to file for office starting November 8th, November 11th,
Oh.
somewhere around there, early November. So those maps have to be in place by September, which probably means they want to get those maps in place earlier than that, so there's not a legal injunction that keeps them from using those maps for the filing for office. So they're going to try and get this through as quick as possible.
Another
So
action,
that- oh, go ahead.
another action is, once it becomes a lawsuit, we need testimony. We need people to come up and
Yes.
speak. So we'll also have, sessions where, you come and you learn how to testify before the court as it relates to how you, feel about the gerrymandering and how you feel about the districts being drawn
And how it's impacting
and how it's
you.
impacting
Well,
you.
you asked a question, you said that we would, at that moment. I can't think of it.
So we're gonna just recap these actions. Quick
Commissioner
comment,
Miles.
question?
That's
Yeah.
Commissioner Miles.
Hey, doing, Jamal Williams, Commissioner Miles' office, precinct 1. One of the things I would ask is that when we talk about the comments, and one of the things we want to, we're asking for the community to share about is that you want to ask for a transparent process. And one of the things that you'll hear in the comments and some of the write-ups, if all this is public information, is that from this legal firm, they're not asking for a public process, right? They want to keep this information private, right? So you want to ask for your commissioners, when you write or when you comment, you want an open and public, transparent process. You want to make sure that you're informed as a community member of what's happening. You want to be able to give your input on the information that they're being seen. So wherever you're at, in 3, 4, 2, 1, you want to send that information into your commissioner, asking them that you want to be a part of the process, right? Because if you can think about this, there is a example where this happened before. Right up north in Keller, where an outside entity came in that was not a part of Texas and said, hey, we want to do X, Y, and Z and make this happen, right? But what changed that? Public pressure changed that, and it kind of just fizzled out. And this is what Commissioner Simmons and Commissioner Miles is asking for the public to come in to apply that pressure on the court to say, hey, if you're not to apply the pressure on them, it's like you need to make this public. Because once it comes out exactly what's happening, then they have to answer those questions about, well, why are you not adding this information on the map? Why is this costing so much? Or why are we not getting input? This is why it's so important for y'all to come to court and to provide that feedback to them.
And what he's saying is absolutely true. You want town hall meetings in each precinct. You want the county staff to, and your commissioner to come out, put up all the map options and to give you feedback. You don't, for you to give feedback, you don't want this process rushed. If this county, this commissioner's court does not respect you enough to come over to the doc bookshop, put all the proposed maps up, get your feedback, then take that back, look at it, respond to you, come up with some more maps based on your feedback. And there have got to be town hall meetings where the county staff and your commissioner are bringing you the maps, and you're saying, don't like that, don't like this doesn't make sense. Go back and bring us some more. It should be a process. It should not be, here are the damn maps, and y'all don't like it. That's it. And I'm afraid that might be what it is.
Okay, why don't we say we want this map? Just keep that one.
You can.
Yes.
All right, so just, we want to recap actions for folks, because we also have some programming from Community Frontline that's going to be coming on stage as well. So we want to do just a recap of these actions. Number one is, it's been clear that our voice is vital. And just to emphasize, we have beaten the Commissioner's Court attempts to do things that are not right. The Cesar Chavez holiday tried to get removed from the calendar last year. That was stopped. They tried to remove voting sites from colleges.
That was stopped.
That was stopped. Okay. The Keller ISD is the latest example that the Commissioner's Court, even though they hadn't gotten involved officially yet, they would have been involved, and that was stopped.
The judge ran that whole thing.
Yeah. So even though the votes are there for them to pass the things they want, the community's voice has stopped them. And we need to be able to come together to stop this current effort that they're trying to do with redistricting. Your activity, your voice at the Commissioner's Court on social media helps us get press, helps the information share, so more community members are aware of this. And when they hear this, they're going to have the same reaction all of us have in this room. What the hell? This is some bullshit, right? And they're going to want to stop this. But we cannot assume our community automatically knows everything that's going on with the Commissioner's Court that's trying to keep a process private. We've got to have our voice help amplify that. So that is action number one, right? Action number two is that if they get their way, then this has potential to impact our elections in 2026 based on who's going to be able to run for those seats and what is going to have to be available in terms of our options on the ballot. They're also going to try to, with the state, try to continue to reduce our access to voting as they did this last one. Regardless of what they do, we have to work together to overcome that. We have to show up to vote in 2026. Because no matter how they try to redraw these maps, we are a population of 2.2 million as they've shared. There's 1.2 million registered to vote, and we never get 100% of people voting in an election. And when it comes to midterm elections, Chris Tackett, you got a roundabout number of how much turnout we usually get on midterm elections in Tarrant County?
In Tarrant County, it's probably high 30s.
So that means 60 to 70% are not voting in the midterm election, which will be 2026. Means that we have votes to either get people registered, but more importantly, people who are already registered in our diverse communities to get engaged to offset their plans. Okay? So we can overcome. It's a lot of hard work, but it can be done. That's action number 2, is that we got to make sure we're doing everything today through 2026 to get people prepared to vote so that they are part of the process to stop these kind of efforts and tactics. And then the third action is if they get their way and this goes to court and they get sued for breaking the law, the Voting Rights Act, and anything else in this process that turns out to be not legal, that we need people testifying to share the impact of what they've done and how this was not legal. Okay, so we've got 3 actions: our voice, our vote, and our testimony when it comes to legal fights. Is everyone clear on these opportunities and actions that we have as a community?
Yes, we are. I
Okay,
am.
now we need some more, now, how, like, the one of the questions I have is the education of how, during this process, educating us on how to prep for these testimonies. So,
Yes.
so we don't walk in there willy-nilly,
Yes.
that we can be specific about what we're talking about. The other thing is, getting some people also saying, like I'm saying, send me $5 and I'll, for the DCC, we need some people, are we putting tools together like that? Because this is gonna be, I said I wasn't gonna get involved in nothing else. 78 years old, I'm tired.
I understand.
But
Thank you,
But
God.
this is something we are not, the things that I've been seeing, like, Axel could not use Tarrant County College this past year,
Right,
this
that's
past
right.
this
That's
past
That's
weekend.
crazy.
For Axel could not use it for its talent program unless they paid TCC $5,000. And I'm a taxpayer. We are taxpayers.
Can't use a school either.
Okay, no, and I think it's time that we start, saying we are taxpayers. In the neighborhood, when I'm organized, I tell people, you pay your utility bills, you pay your household, you pay your taxes. It's time, and we gotta get everybody, and this is something I've already put it in writing, so it ain't what I'm saying, it ain't been said. We gotta get everybody from grandmama to brothers and sisters, and even them little dudes out on the corner board. We gotta educate them, because we tell you something's gonna happen. Because it happened in Atlanta to a friend, and just so happened people found out about it. I used to pick this dude up. This dude went to high school with me, and they said he was a gang member. I mean, come on now.
When it can happen there, it
He
can happen here.
almost ended up on one of them planes.
We have enough registered voters that don't vote.
That's
to
right.
win.
That's what I mean. So
We
the
don't need
teams,
to
can we
register one person.
put
Nobody
together
else needs to
teams of
register.
people who can wake up some of these precinct chairs? Because I don't know, because I'm in one. So do y'all need people to walk into
Yes.
to wake up people? Because I'm telling you,
It's
this ain't this.
Yeah.
If they do it to you, they coming to mine.
Oh, yeah.
Listen,
They
I'm
coming out
telling you,
at the same
right.
time.
And you don't wanna lose my voice.
No, you don't.
Well, I'm
No.
just telling you, I hate to say
I
it.
know that. No, we know that.
That's not what we want.
Okay, so-
And I think, and Gabe and the Tackett's I think they can draw me out of my
Yes.
district.
Yes.
So if they redraw,
They could draw
They draw
Miles
my-
and
they
Simmons. I
draw
think.
my house, they draw my house out of precinct 2. They can draw a line.
They can draw them in the same district and make them run against each
So
other.
it's very subjective, we see that.
Yeah.
So,
They do what they
So
want to
we
do.
just have to get
My
our-
question,
I think the council.
We're gonna
have-
wrap up and transition to committee frontline.
Be another one of these because
Yeah.
I know Commissioner Miles wasn't invited to this, and this isn't his
Oh,
Yeah, he was invited.
Yeah.
So you asked a question, when will we do this? I wanted to say something. Not only will we can do it in person, but I think we need to go back to doing stuff online too, because you'll probably get a little bit more people in there that can probably do the online as opposed to coming in
This event's
person.
live stream on the Doc Bookshop YouTube.
Yeah, I like the live stream, but they can't ask questions.
Well, I've been monitoring the live stream to see if. there's
So
any
I think that
questions.
you should do it at least every other month, but do one in person and one online.
Okay.
I mean, if we got all those people to get online for Kamala, why we can't get online for you?
Yes, and I have my staff putting all of that together so it's not just willy-nilly.
Yeah, I don't want that.
So we will have structured meetings, same day of the month, same time. So everybody will know when. I like the idea of in-person, online, but always streaming it.
And streaming anyway.
And, the first one, we're gonna have, the consultants come and the lawyers that we will probably be engaging to explain it even further and to explain what needs to happen. For example, they told me and Commissioner Miles, when folks are coming to Commissioner's Court, and this will be just like testimony, while you all have relationships with every ethnicity, every community, they've got to hear from Black people and brown people who will be affected by this. It's good to have the good white folks there, allied with us, but it can't just be them. You know, it's got to be Black folks and brown folks coming down to Commissioner's Court. You know, if you're working during the day, just go to our YouTube channel. You can watch it there. You can sign up online to speak. You can submit your form or sign up to register your opposition or support of something. In your form, we receive it. It's right there in front of me. And it'll have a sticker on the top that says non-speaker, but it will have your comments there. And it goes into the record. So you can watch on YouTube, go online, submit your form, and we'll have it. But we will conduct trainings, other informational sessions, and we'll keep you informed. And please, this is, again, you won't, she held up the fingers, I can run against the county judge and beat him, right? But if they redistrict too, you'll still have a Republican over there. It just, I could be county judge, I could be county grand poobah, but it's 3-2. You just gotta be able to count to 3. And you lose.
O'Hare is up again in 26, right? He's
Yes.
gonna be on the ballot. So it's not
Me,
just-
O'Hare, and Ramirez are up. And Ramirez has made it perfectly clear that he wants downtown Fort Worth and he wants TCU. He, don't know why, except for it's the business district. It's a shiny object for him. Yeah.
Alright, so everyone clear on our actions? We're gonna have more meetings, more communication, more information, but are we walking away after this conversation knowing our actions?
With education, more education.
All right. A big thanks to Commissioner Simmons. And we hope everyone's fired up.
Fired up.
We add this fight to the list and we keep going. All right, we're gonna transition to Ricky and Q for Community Frontline. They're gonna talk about some important history and content for the community.
Please make Alex and Commissioner Simmons feel good again, y'all. Please. We know it's late and you want to get back to your families, things like that.